Okay, mag-i-intro lang ako. Hey yo, what's up? It's your boy Chris Bacula. Welcome to the Chris Bacula Comedy Podcast, and this episode is brought to you by Chandio's Authentic Pakistani Cuisine. Order your lunch, dinner, and pulutan using the link below this video, the description. And today we have a very special guest all the way from Etivac, Cavite. I have my good friend Lexter, aka vexinglex.
Good to be here, Chris. Maraming salamat. Hi.
How are you, Lex?
I'm feeling very good. I'm feeling excited to finally meet you.
Me too.
Yes.
How was the trip going to the north?
It took a while, but I left early and just hung out in like Starbucks. Tapos okay na.
Sobrang aga mo nga. Sabi ko, 8 a.m.?
Meron naman akong kamit eh.
Nung earlier.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Sino tong kamit mo?
Sabihin na lang natin na they were not a fan originally, but after they met me, fan na sila.
Fan sila sa podcast? Do you have a podcast kasi, di ba?
Yep.
And your podcast is all about?
It's all about sex, sexuality, gender identity, sometimes culture, specifically the Filipino art and creative culture natin. And if anybody does want to, listen to it, they can find it on Spotify as The Lex Files.
The Lex Files.
Parang X-Files pero Lex.
Wordplay, no?
Yep.
Parang may pag kasi X ang narinig ko sa word, parang may sensual something.
Yeah.
Diba?
There's something about it.
Something about X, triple X.
Yes.
X-rated.
Yeah. Or Agent X. Or Mr. X.
Oh, diba?
Sinuwerte lang ako na yung pangalan ko. Like, my nickname is Lex.
Mm-mm.
So, it's pretty much one of the sexiest sounding things you can hear.
Oo nga. No? So, parang Lexter.
Yeah.
Wow. Ano to? Parang combination ng name ng mommy and daddy?
Not really. No, she was just looking at a list of names and then she saw something like Lexter. And then she thought, okay, I'll give my son that name.
Nice.
Yeah.
Kasi I've listened to some of your work sa Spotify. Kami ni Gerald eh.
Yeah.
So parang una kong narinig yung work mo. Very siya eh. Parang kumbaga pag typical ka na Filipino, very shocking. Kasi yung narinig ko sa'yo, you use the F word eh.
Yeah.
Parang, what's up? F. Pwede ko sabihin.
The F slur.
Oh, the slur, di ba?
The F slur.
Pero in a performance type of way.
Yes.
You're not using it to insult it. It's a it's like a play, di ba?
Yep.
So parang doon sa mga parang sensitive masyado, tignan nyo muna yung context kung paano ginamit.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. The thing is, if I am going to use slurs like the F word or like the C word, naglalagay ako ng tags doon sa description ng audio, especially if it's going to be erotica based. Kasi there are a lot of people who listen to erotica to escape and to experience a very specific fulfillment of their needs. Tapos kapag may narinig sila na hindi sila handa, or if it wasn't included in their audio or in the audio that I make or that any other VA makes, syempre natatanggal sila doon sa immersion na yon. Or to use a more popular term, natitrigger sila.
Oh.
So I have to be careful to announce in the descriptions or in the tags that there's going to be impact play, or there's sounds of slapping, and then there's maybe growling, or there's the simulation of choking or whipping. So handang makinig yung tao doon sa ganong klaseng audio.
So may disclaimer ka lagi.
Yes.
Start nung show, there's always a disclaimer
In the text. Yeah, unless it's part of the audio itself. Like for example, if I want to include it in the fantasy or in the audio na there's negotiation. Like if the listener is my partner and I'm playing their dominant or their boyfriend or their master, I can say, so what do you want to do today? Okay, you want me to tie you up? Is that what you want? Do you want me to blindfold you? Do you want me to gag you? Here are the things that I'm ready to do for you. And it's pretty much like in real life, if you do want to get sexy with somebody, if you want to be intimate with somebody, whether it's a stranger, whether it's your partner or your girlfriend, whatever, you have to let them know what you want to do, and you have to be willing to listen to them. Because a lot of, and this might be going into a little bit about, yung parang personal campaign ko to make sex sexy again. A lot of people assume that just because you are with a partner, just because you're married to somebody, free game na. Everything is on the table.
Like I own you.
Yeah. Unfortunately, people still think that way about, your spouse or your girlfriend or even your hookups. And I want to encourage people to learn to say the word no. Because no is a full sentence. You don't have to explain anything at the time if you feel like you're not comfortable. If the person is being very creepy or being an asshole, you can say no.
Yes.
And that's the thing that I use with my audio. You have the power to turn off the audio if it gets too much. And I always tell my listeners, you are the one in control of how much you want to listen to the audio. If you're aware of the tags, if you're aware of the themes or of the language that I'm going to be using, of the sound effects I'm going to be using, you can turn this off.
You have a choice.
Yes.
You always have a choice.
Yes.
Kaya nga I mean sa panahon ngayon parang 'di ba uso yung yung cancel culture, yung political correctness.
Yeah.
Pero ako very ako diyan objective when it comes to it kasi minsan aalamin mo rin yung sitwasyon kung nasan sila noon parang bakit ba nangyari sa ito?
Yeah.
Wala ka ba talagang choice or may choice ka or nilagay mo yung sarili mo sa alanganin? Kumbaga ang jaded ng kasi ang broad ng spectrum So hindi ka pwede laging maging like for example pag ang babae ang nagreklamo, automatic, tama siya.
Believe the victim.
Believe
her.
Believe the victim always,
Yeah.
diba? Especially if you feel na parang mas weaker siya, it's always siya yung nasa tama.
That's normally the gist or the understanding. Talaga.
Hindi mo na gustong pakinggan yung side ng isa.
Yeah.
Regardless kung may point siya, parang, mali ka kasi parang, siya siya mas weaker
The thing is, you are innocent until proven guilty.
Mm-mm.
So you can believe the person. You can give them the validation. Okay, you say that you were violated. You say that this was sexual assault, and I will use a disclaimer that I will use words like rape or fuck. And if people aren't comfortable with that, this is the internet, and that's the thing that I also want to tell people. There are limits to how safe you can be on the internet because this is a fucking wild and psychotic landscape sometimes. You cannot find a safe space everywhere you go, and you cannot assume that people will make themselves safe for you. Sometimes you do have to assert that I'm not comfortable with this, I will leave. Kasi maraming mga tao who are in the cancel culture community or who are sabihin na natin extremely into it, they assume na if they're uncomfortable with something, other people have to shape themselves
to them.
Yeah. The problem is that's not always going to happen. Kahit ako may mga nagsasabi na, Lex, your audio is a little extreme for me. And the thing is, I make myself available for that discussion and I tell them, okay, why aren't you comfortable with it? Did you turn the audio off? Did you stop listening? Are you aware of the tags?
Mm-mm.
So I tell them, as much as I would like to apologize for the thing that you heard, I gave full warning. It is not simply my responsibility to suddenly change my entire the themes of my audio because you were uncomfortable with it. Paano na lang yung 3,000 nakikinig na ito ang gusto nila sa akin?
Mm-mm. Do they have to adjust for you?
Yeah, that's the problem. So there's a very tenuous and sometimes awkward balance between creating a safe space and asserting your own personal gender and sexual identity online.
Parang privilege yung dating, no? Entitled.
Yeah, it can be incredibly entitled and it can be frustrating because in the VA community, specifically in the stratosphere of Reddit and Twitter, a lot of people are now coming out and exposing usually straight male voice actors for being sexually abusive and using their online status as a VA to get nudes from their listeners.
Mm-mm.
Or they have even engaged in underage sexual discussion online.
Whoa.
It's that extreme. So ngayon, nagsisilabasan yung mga tao na nagrereklamo na, hey, this VA is a racist. This VA is a white supremacist.
With evidence ba to?
With evidence.
Oh.
Receipts piling up against the people.
Like text messages, ganyan.
Yeah, sometimes even recordings.
Of the mismong voice actor
Yes.
and the victim.
Yes. And it's very difficult to gauge this kasi nga it's mostly straight VAs that are being exposed right now. Kaya maingat din ako doon sa disclaimers ko. Like these are the things that I want to do, and these are the people that I want to interact with. Kasi I'm no longer just some random guy making sexy audio. I have a lot of listeners. I have a dedicated audience. People all over the world are listening to my podcast and my erotic audio. And if I say anything that's hurtful, people will point it out. So far, wala naman akong ginagawa na may nagrereklamo, and hopefully it's because I am not doing anything wrong. Hindi sa takot yung taong magsalita just because I'm quote-unquote internet famous.
Mm-mm.
I'm not.
Yung nga parang do you want to delete words? Eradicate words? Parang yun ang nangyayari ngayon eh.
Yeah, that's the problem with the extremism of, yun na nga, sige, for lack of a better term, cancel culture. Words are neutral things. We can use them in almost any way possible, except for certain words that were created to degrade other people, like the N-word.
Yan.
Yeah, like the F slur in specific discussions. And I only learned recently that the word gypsy is a slur.
Oh.
Yes, the correct term for them is Romani.
Yung nga, gypsy for the longest time is parang a demographic of people na pagala-gala, di ba?
Yes. Disney even used it in Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Gypsy.
At the time. Yeah, Cher had a song, Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves. But because it was so casually used at the time, and the Romani people were insisting that please don't call us that, because that is specifically a term used to degrade us, to insult us.
Okay.
We are Romani. That is us. That is our culture. That is who we are. That's our identity. We are not gypsies.
Doon, I can understand that.
Yeah.
But it's so hard to to educate the world.
Yeah.
Alam mo yun, paunti-unti siya, hindi siya parang one day process na parang okay, hindi mo na sasabihin yung word na gypsy.
Yeah.
And even kahit sabihin mo yun, depende pa sa demographic ng tao na yun. Paano kung taga yun, Nigeria? It doesn't resonate to them.
Yeah.
Kasi parang we're gypsies. Kami nga, we live in this is a desert na parang jungle na hindi mo maintindihan eh.
No, that's the thing din naman kasi when it comes to educating people, you cannot assume that the people you are trying to educate will understand your method of teaching and the language that you're using. You also have to understand, if you speak to somebody online, you have to know where they're from, what they do to a certain degree. For example, gamitin ko na lang yung sarili ko as an example. I have a lot of I have some audio that focuses on erotic role play between myself, a male voice actor, and the listener being a trans male.
Okay.
So they were assigned female at birth, born females, but they are slowly transitioning into male. When I use certain terms like pussy or cunt, not everybody will be comfortable with that. Kasi nga sa kanila, it still reminds them that they are not what they are meant to be. They're not who they're meant to be. Others are comfortable with it because they understand that that's life. That's the body that they were born into.
Mm-mm.
And then others, a lot of them are listeners ko din naman, they are happy to be called that kasi nga yung fetish ngayon,
It turns them on.
It turns them on.
Mm-mm.
So it's not everybody's it's not going to be everybody's fetish. It's not going to be everybody's method of learning.
Mm-mm.
Diba? So kung ako susubukan kong educate lahat ng tao, mapapagod ako.
Oo, baka i-quit mo na nga yung podcast. No?
Yeah. So what I would do is I am going to present my audio. Here are the things that you will hear, and here is the energy that I want to project to you. If you want to listen to it, if you want to to be entertained with it, if you want to get turned on by it, sure, give it a listen. If you have questions, suggestions, let me know. But don't be an asshole. Yun na lang eh. The golden rule of the internet. Remember the human, don't be an asshole.
And don't enforce your will. Kasi laging ganun eh. Parang, my will be done. Sino kasi God?
No. It's, I learned, not because of a personal experience, but with listening to others and seeing, internet careers fall apart. Na, as soon as you start taking yourself too seriously, things get really shitty. Nasisira yung relationship mo with your listeners and with your fan base because you think you're infallible. There was one voice actor in the erotic VA community. He was an inspiration to me. He was one of the biggest erotic voice actors. Excuse me. And he'd been doing it for a couple of years now. Now, lumabas yung inherent racism ng mga audios niya. Na he views his fan base, which was a majority of like persons of color. Hindi lang black women, hindi lang black men. All sorts of persons of color, but he focused primarily on creating audio for the black community. Lumalabas yung casual indifference niya sa mga complaints nila. And then he started calling them childish for saying, "Hey, I wasn't comfortable with how you addressed the complaints about your racism or about your defending others who were caught and exposed for being sexual predators." Kasi nga sa tingin niya, immune na siya sa criticism. The thing is, no one is immune to criticism.
Para may pass siya, ganun. I have a pass.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, tama. Dapat ka comfortable talaga eh.
Yeah.
So parang naging too comfortable siya na ganun. Kaya I can say whatever I want.
Yeah. It's a shame.
Na naging parang degrading na yung dating.
Yeah.
So na-cancel siya.
To a certain degree, yes. Nabawasan siya ng mga followers from Reddit, and then he had to move from Reddit and Discord to Twitch. So if any of you are listening, you know who I'm talking about. Kilala ninyo kung sino tong sinasabi ko. Especially if you're in the United States, you know who I'm talking about.
So is he Caucasian?
That's the thing. Everybody thought he was white.
Oh, he wasn't?
He was not. In fact, he is Asian.
Okay.
Nakakagulat. But there are a lot of Asian VA naman so hindi naman ganun kadali. But people know who I'm talking about. Singit ko lang. People actually thought I was white because of the way I talk, because of the
accent,
the mastery of the language, and the accent that I'm using. A lot of them are surprised to find out that I am nowhere near white. I am as Pinoy as they come.
Mm-mm.
Especially since I started creating a Pinoy Boy Joy series. It's a boyfriend experience where you exemplify the traits of, a good Filipino partner. Yung babe, kumain ka na ba?
Prim and proper na.
Not necessarily. Like siguro, maaruga, mahilig magbiro, malambing. It's the things that people want to experience. And I think that's why people like listening to these things, particularly with the things that I create, because they want the thrill and the experience of being in a loving and caring and sexy relationship without risking much. And it's like it's not an alternative, obviously. It's a creative way to feel sexy and to feel safe.
Parang supplement.
A supplement to pleasure.
Yes. Like vitamin C, vitamin D. Parang ganun lang siya eh.
Yeah.
Diba? Na kailangan natin yan.
Yeah.
Like ako, ang supplement ko every now and then, porn.
Yeah.
Diba? Minsan nag-masturbate ako to porn para makatulog. Or pag wala akong magawa, parang, diba?
It's just a part of how you express your nature.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as long as it's not dangerously addicting na hindi mo na mapigil yung sarili mo when you're, out there in the living, breathing world na...
Oh, nasa LRT ka, ganyan, nag-masturbate ka in front of a woman or a man, diba?
Yeah. Like you don't even recognize that you're in a public place. That's a problem.
Oo. Magpa-check up ka na.
Yes, please.
Therapy.
Please. There are people who are willing to help you, but you've got to ask for help.
Oo. And ang daling i-judge nila as somebody who is a pervert, pero merong mental illness yun eh.
Yeah.
Oo. And parang yun ang paraan nila para mag-cope up dun eh.
Yeah. And that's another thing. That's another layer of the thing that I'm doing. I'm prefacing everything that I'm saying. I should have said this a while ago now. I'm not an expert. I don't have a clinical background.
Yes.
I don't have any experience in learning and studying that. However, I have read on the research on it. I've spoken to a lot of experts and a lot of sexual health and mental health experts have come up to me through Reddit and Discord and and social media, telling them that this is very similar to how we help certain people cope. We let them listen to things that used to scare them or that used to trigger them, and then they have the impetus to stop when it's too much for them. The thing about mental health is that everybody is a little crazy. Everybody's got something in them. Now, people look normal. You can go outside and find
functioning individuals.
Individuals, but the thing is, there is a limit to how much you can function before you suffer from
breaking down.
Or from feeling the pressure of being constantly in control, or for simply being a man. Men get pressured into a lot of things. People assume that just because you're a man, you have to be violent, you have to be overtly sexual, you have to be in control. Some guys just want to take a break, some guys just want to cry. Some guys just want to be left alone. Some guys don't even want to marry or want kids. They just want just to exist. They just want to live.
And minsan yung may other guys na sad sila, but they mask it in being this jerk on social media na like it's all about sex.
Yeah.
Pero deep down parang may something dun eh. Parang do you want to come out of the closet? Do you want to talk to somebody about what your sexual preference is?
Yeah. And we're trying to, we're all trying to understand what's happening in our brains and what's happening in our hearts. And the biggest problem locally, I can't say I know everything that's happening outside of the Philippines. Pero sa Pilipinas, ang pinakamalaking struggle natin is we still haven't gotten over the fact that sex shouldn't be dirty. We shouldn't view sex as something dirty, or we shouldn't view men as predators or women as victims. They should not be treated like that. Men and women and gays, queers, lesbians, the entire list.
LGBTQAI community.
Lahat na. Everyone is a human being that deserves to be loved and respected, as long as you're not breaking any rules. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And for example, ako na lang, the reason and I'm letting you guys know that this is the face that you're listening to when you listen to the Lex Files or vexinglex. I chose to do purely audio erotic work because I have issues with my body image. I was born, really big kid, and it's difficult for me to kind of pick up the pace when it comes to losing weight or working out. Like, I have to find external motivation. So I have to have a trainer. I have to have somebody to constantly tell me, "Come on, Lex, let's do this." And when I do this, I'm not just turning people on. I'm also helping myself heal. Kasi I can be sexy. I can be sexy as I am now. And my listeners can be sexy as they are, regardless of what they do to their bodies.
Mm-mm.
They don't have to force change upon themselves to be sexy. Ang dami pa ring ginagamit nilang insult comedy or insult humor as a form of improvement.
Oh.
Like, parang, ano ba yan, ang taba-taba mo na naman, bawasan mo na kasi yung pagkain mo.
Typical kasi yan eh.
It's very big.
I mean, not even sa Philippines, even sa ibang bansa.
Yeah, it's common na when somebody has gained weight, para bang social obligation ba natin na sabihin na, "Uy, tumaba ka ha?
Oo.
Ikaw, ang pangit mo pa rin. Ako, papayat. Ikaw,
Oo.
hindi ka na magbabago."
Oo. Hindi na bago yan, di ba?
Yeah.
Yung nga eh, saka parang dun sa mga tao na hindi kayang i-accept yon, parang you have to push through it eh.
Yeah.
Kasi talagang hindi mo talaga mapipigilan ng tao na magsabi ng masama sa'yo.
Walang filter.
Even yung mga kaibigan mo eh. Sometimes at your back, they will say something to either to backstab you. Tapos pag nanaman mo parang, ba't kaya sila ganun kakaloka, kaibigan ko sila? Reality check. They're human.
Yeah.
They will always say something bad about you, even your family, di ba?
Yeah.
How much more kung ibang tao pa yan?
A complete stranger on the internet.
Yeah. And you can't just be yung balat sibuyas lagi.
Yeah. You do have to toughen yourself up to some degree. And that's what I tell people who talk to me then. Because on Discord, I basically have a following, and I'm basically their emotional comfort daddy. So kapag may, if they're stressed, say, "Lex, I have, can I get a hug?" My virtual response na hugs, like, okay, sending you lots of hugs, or "Lex, I'm feeling very lonely." Kakausapin ko sila. And it's part of the community that I'm trying to foster. I'm not the only one that's doing it. There are other people who can take on the position of like a daddy or a mommy or just somebody that is capable of giving comfort and assurance. Ang goal ko lang naman kasi is to make people feel safe and to give them a good time. And everyone that's listening, paalala lang po, since I'm an erotic VA, everybody that's that's with me on Discord and on Reddit, they are of age. I absolutely do not condone underage listeners or underage partnerships and zoophiles. No.
Yes. And if ever may maligaw doon, parang hindi mo kaya mapulis lahat eh.
Yeah. Yeah. They eventually expose themselves.
Yes.
We had a scare last year. Hindi ko na lang babanggitin yung Discord na yun sa ngayon. But if you check my profile, you'll see that I talk about it enough times. Sabi niya, 18 na siya. And like 18 is basically the international age of parang
legal age.
Legal age.
Pero sa UK mas bata pa yan, 16 yata.
16. But on the internet, 18 is typically the age for
sex,
adult communities. And then he revealed na, I'll be turning 18 in 2 months. And to him, that was okay. But to us, it was not.
Yes.
Kasi you come into this community for sex positivity, sexual awareness, and sexual health and maturity, but the first, you violate the rules. Hindi mo man lang sinunod yung rule na you have to be 18 when you enter this community. And obviously, you can't, you can't stop everybody from doing something stupid.
Especially at that age of 17. Kasi
Yeah.
ang bata na encounter na yung kalibugan.
Yeah.
at 13 I think, ako 10 ako nag-start pag-masturbate eh. Na, hindi ko sinasadya. I mean, wala nagturo sa akin. Parang human nature lang na biglang may naramdaman kang something na weird. Tapos kiniskis mo na yung titi mo sa pillow and then may lumabas. Parang, shit,
ano yun?
Ano yun?
Yeah.
Parang weird. Parang, hindi mo alam kung did it felt good. Pero, parang you want to, repeat it again. Di ba?
Yeah.
So, naging routine siya. Parang every now and then, kinikis mo yung titi mo sa pillow, di ba?
Yeah.
Until, naging, so, ganun ako una nag-masturbate.
Yeah.
Until, nagkaroon ako ng mga barkada nung mga 13 ako. Nalaman ko na ang tama palang way, hinahawakan mo dapat yung penis mo.
Yeah.
At ini-stroke. Hindi mo dapat kinikis sa pillow.
Yeah.
But every now and then, ginagawa ko kasi doon ako nasanay.
Yeah. And people still do that. Humping. Pillow humping is a fetish.
Mm-mm.
And there's porn like that exists on the internet.
Even for female, di ba?
Yeah.
Pillow humping.
Yep.
Oh.
Pillow humping, leg humping, just surface humping.
And you'd be surprised na parang most people will think na parang yung 18, 15, 16 is really young. Pero yun yung peak ng ng hormones mo eh.
Yeah, your
kasi
body's changing a lot.
Na-de-virginize ako, 15 ako eh.
Really?
15. Actually, yung mga iba, late, sasabihin sa akin nung time ko na late bloomer ka na. Kasi I had classmates na were doing that deed 14 pa lang, di ba?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Especially dito sa ghetto. Sa amin, makikita mo siguro mga as young as 12.
Yeah.
Exposed na yan eh. And hindi sila exposed dun sa mga mas matanda sa kanila. Sila lang din.
Yung exploration
yung
nila.
Yung age group nila, 13 to 13, 12 to 12.
Yeah.
Kasi di sila natuturuan kasi sa home nila, yung mismong parents nila, hindi sila open i-discuss yung sexuality eh.
Yeah.
Parang, huwag kayang ganyan. So sila, syempre, mag-experiment sila.
Yeah.
Paano ba gawin to? Nakikita ko si mami sa kasi dati pag gabi, nagkakantutan eh.
Yeah.
Gawin ko rin kaya.
Yeah. And that's another thing that I want to address. And I think I spoke about it in one of my podcast episodes na sex education in the Philippines is still archaic. Sobrang kulang na kulang tayo dun sa material and yung willingness to start the discussion. And it's not to encourage kids to have sex. Just because you're teaching them about sex ed when they're young doesn't mean that you're telling them to fuck. No. In fact, you're telling them that sex is not something that you guys should be doing. You're too young to understand the repercussions of that, especially if it's a man, a boy and a girl having sex. Paano kung mabuntis yung babae? Paano kung may sakit? Paano kung may maling nangyari sa kanila and somebody gets really hurt?
Mm-mm.
And that's the actual point of sexual education is to teach people to, the limits of sexuality and their bodies.
Siguro yung essential dyan yung guidance bilang parent or older sibling. Kasi ako growing up, hindi kasi naninigarilyo yung mga magulang ko at umiinom eh. So yung bisyo, natutunan ko siya sa mga kaibigan ko din. Naka-age ko.
Okay.
Separate, they don't know any better, di ba?
Yeah.
Same lang din sila ng knowledge na meron ako. So, naaabuso tuloy yung substance.
Yeah.
Whereas kung naging open siguro yung mga magulang ko that time, na, sige anak, samahan kita uminom.
Yeah.
Ito.
Dito ka uminom
ito yung
sa bahay.
limit.
Yeah.
Lasing ka na. Ganyan malasing. Sumuka ka, di ba? So, negative.
Yeah.
I mean, yung proper samahan mo lang sila kasi otherwise magiging curious lang ako kung ano yun eh.
Yeah.
Same as sex, kung di mo sasabihin sa akin kung ano yung sex, kung ano yung repercussions ng sex, I will explore it for myself.
Yeah.
Para malaman ko.
Exactly. And this is a very practical way of looking at it. Na you're telling your kid that I'm letting you experience this because I care about you. And pag sinabi mo kasi na paparusahan kita kapag ginawa mo to, you won't teach them to stop. You'll just teach them to hide it better.
Yes.
Kaya nga, if you learned smoking, from your friends, obviously they'll tell you, wag mong ipakita to sa magulang mo. Or if nahuli ka ng parents mo like doing something that they don't like, syempre papaluin ka, paparusahan ka. They won't even explain why. They'll just make you feel bad about it. So you'll be forced to hide it. You'll be forced to find other ways of exploring it outside of the house, which is incredibly unsafe. Diba? Just, I mean, again, we can't tell parents how to,
Discipline the
educate
kid,
and
oo.
discipline their kids. But generally speaking, charity and love and respect and humanity begins at home. Treat your children like human beings. They're not problems. They're not challenges to you. If you humanize them, if you teach them how to be human beings at an early age, there's a higher chance that they will turn out mostly decent and with fewer, problems to overcompensate.
Mm-mm. Tama. And less balat sa buyas.
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta
Kasi
be tough.
The more you reprimand them or regulate them,
Yeah.
the more they will want it eh.
Yeah.
Like, gusto kong gawin yung analogy na parang sa Christmas, di ba? May mga gifts ka. Na parang Santa's gonna give you gifts this Christmas.
Yeah.
So, yung mga bata, nasa na yung gift? You have to wait till Christmas. So, ang gagawin ng mga bata, hanapin na all the more they want it.
Yeah.
Kasi nakatago eh.
Oo.
Alam kong darating eh, pero nasaan? At
Yeah.
ano yung gift?
Yeah.
So, pag hindi pa yun ako, parang nagagahit sila, di ba?
Yeah.
So, parang the same din as with educating them about sex. The more mo tinatago, the more they will want it at yung yearning nila. Parang sabik na sila dyan. Parang, ay, ito pala yan.
Kaya nga, there's a local film, Bakit Kay Tamis ng Bawal? Or a song. I think there was a song. Bakit Kay Tamis ng Bawal? The more you tell somebody don't do it, the more they'll be tempted to do it.
Yes.
So rather than telling them to just don't do it because I said so, because I'm your parent, because I'm an authority figure, I'm your mother, I'm your father, whatever, tell them, here are the consequences. This is what will happen if you don't use a condom. This is what will happen if you have unprotected sex, or if you have sex with a girl. Just try and start the conversation. It can be very awkward, obviously. It's not gonna be
Sobrang
perfect.
awkward.
Kasi,
I can just
syempre,
imagine. May dalawang anak eh.
Okay. And are they boys or
A boy and girl.
a boy and a girl?
So, isang 5, tas isang 12.
Okay. So it's going to be a very different discussion
Oo.
because one is obviously younger, one is older, tapos one is a boy and one is a girl.
And magkaiba sila ng mami.
O yun pa.
Oo.
So you have to tell them why. Eventually, if they ask, you might have to be honest about their, why they have a different mom but the same dad. That can be a potential discussion. And I feel like the more parents are able to express their genuine experiences with their kid, the less likely the kid will be traumatized growing up. Or the more that they'll be equipped and aware na, okay, the world is a dangerous place. I have to be careful. You can't just throw your dick around.
Tama. My bad. Napatuloy ko kino-correct every now and then. Every now and then lang eh, no? No, every time. Pero mahirap siya, parang learning process siya eh.
Yeah.
Diba kasi para siyang drug for me yung sex eh. Parang,
Same.
Siya eh, una, I was paying for it eh. And then na-overcome ko yung paying for it kasi, kaya ko palang kumuha ng free.
Yeah.
Although mag-i-invest na ako, parang susunduin ko yung chick, ganyan, or mag-dating app ako.
Yeah.
Pero nagiging ganun din pala, addiction kasi parang ganun din eh. Hindi nga ako nagpe-pay, pero same shit lang din yung ginagawa ko eh.
Yeah.
Nag-chase ako eh, for pussy eh.
It's a different investment. It's not a monetary investment. It's a physical or emotional investment.
Yes.
And I admit, malibog akong tao. I love sex. However, I also have to understand that not everybody is going to accept me for who I am. And it's happened before. Medyo hindi na ako nakaka-attract ng ganong klaseng negativity. Thank fuck. But earlier, in my erotic VA career, when people saw my face, kasi syempre, narinig lang nila, they would stop talking to me. Like, oh shit, you mean you literally do not like the way I look, but you like the way I sound? And there are people who actually said na, hey, you sound really educated for a Filipino. Huh? Ano po?
Racist much?
Yeah. I get that from time to time.
Oo.
And I have to be ready to deal with that kind of shit.
Yes.
Because I have created a very open and relatively safe space for people to say what they want to say.
Mm-mm.
And sometimes what they say is really stupid.
Yes. And you can't blame them kasi parang di rin nila alam eh.
Yeah.
And they're just asking this question just to clarify, to understand you or the situation.
Most of the time, the people that ask me about it are genuinely curious. Like, they even have this litany of disclaimers. Now, okay, Lexa, this I hope you don't. I hope I don't offend you with this. Blah blah blah. I'm asking this out of pure curiosity. But where are you from? Are you like? Were you born in the States and started living in the Philippines? Do you have American parents? What's your education like? So talagang genuine curiosity. Kasi nga, hey, your English is really good.
Mm-mm.
And I'm like, thanks. I grew up in a primarily English-speaking family. But we're all Filipinos. It's just that my mom and dad were well-traveled. Mahilig silang magbigay sa akin ng English media. I had to learn to speak and communicate well in Filipino when I was older, when I was in high school. I couldn't speak a lick of Filipino when I was a kid.
Ang hirap nun. Siguro nabully ka nun, no?
Thankfully, I was in a school that was kind of parang bilingual yung education.
Ay,
nila.
nice.
Swerte ko na lang.
Ako nabully ako nun eh.
Damn,
kasi si
Inglesero ka.
mami, English yung first language namin eh.
Okay.
So parang parang pili ko talaga mag-Tagalog. Kasi parang, spoken in dollar oh. Di ba parang, hindi mo kaya mag-Tagalog ha?
Yeah.
Parang,
And that's so stupid. Like, it's not your fault that you were educated with the English language.
Oo.
It's not.
Kasi I was different eh.
Yeah.
Di ba parang, people can't understand yung different things, di ba?
Yeah.
Parang, like yung sa LGBTQ lang.
Yeah.
Different sila na tao.
Yeah.
So parang yung mga iba, either natatakot sila, or may hate sila,
Yeah.
or hindi nila alam gagawin.
Yeah.
Paano i-handle sila.
Yeah. People hate what they do not know.
Exactly. Like aliens. Mga illegal aliens sa Amerika.
Oh no.
Di ba parang di ba? So yun na-feel ko noon when I was growing up. Parang alien ako.
Yeah.
So I tried my best na matuto nung Tagalog.
Just to protect yourself and to fit in.
Ah, yes. Just to say, hey, look at me, oh. I'm one of you guys.
Damn.
Diba?
So you were bullied into learning how to speak Filipino.
And minsan nangyayari yun kahit sa LGBTQ community.
Yeah.
Minsan may mga iba nagiging gays kasi parang, I think it's cool to be like, diba? Parang may mga ganun ba?
I haven't encountered any specifically, like myself.
Oo.
But there are people who tend to go into the gay scene because they feel affirmed or assured. Maraming mga straight men, ang tawag sa kanila mga DL, mga down low.
Oh, DL?
Yeah. There are a lot of straight men who are DL because they find pleasure in having gay men be attracted to them.
Mm-mm.
Like, they would be on Grindr.
Oh.
Yeah, ang dami ko na-encounter ng mga tao sa Grindr na they say that they're straight and they prefer to have sex with gay men but they say that they're straight. Kasi sa kanila turn on yun.
Oh.
Yeah. Ang weird, diba? Like why would you find somebody else's sexuality affirming yours? What, people are weird. People are very weird.
Oo nga, no. And sometimes, pag pinilit mo silang intindihan, mababaliw ka lang din.
Oo. So just
minsan may mga tao talagang di mo maintindihan eh.
Oo.
Parang, okay, ito yung fetish mo, okay, bahala ka dyan.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You try to understand as many people as you can. You try to care about it.
May tao lang,
Oh,
Lex.
sige. Magbabalik kami pagkatapos ng ilang paalala.
Anyway, before we were rudely interrupted.
Welcome back.
Okay, so yung nga, di ba? Parang may mga ganun pala, no?
Yeah.
And feeling ko, mas maraming cases dyan sa mga females eh. So, yung acceptance, like ang dami nagiging lesbian daw. Pero confused lang sila kung ano. Parang nag-experiment sila sa parehong female. Pero in the end, hindi pala yun ang gusto nila.
Um,
Family pala gusto nila.
Locally, I have noticed a certain phenomena where women tend to open up their life to a lesbian romance. So siguro bisexual nga talaga sila.
Mm-mm.
Maybe they do want to have the assurance of finding a partner, and it could start from a feeling of loneliness. I'm not saying that it's a perfect description of it, but sometimes women are more open to exploration and to finding intimacy in the same sex, whereas men are often expected to just be men. Kaya nga, ang daming mga lalaki na nagpapanggap na straight sila or nagpapanggap na nagdi-DL sila just so they can keep their secrets, just so they can be affirmed about how big and strong
Macho,
and sexy they are. Believe me, my dick is bigger than yours. Don't fuck with me.
Tama. Oo nga, parang minsan naging defense mechanism pa nga ng mga ibang males yun eh.
Yeah.
Yung machismo ba tawag doon?
Yeah, machismo.
Machismo, yeah.
Yeah. And again, since I'm not a woman, I can't explain it myself. But I have a lot of female friends, and I've done a bit of research on it locally. I can't
Locally,
say locally. Na a lot of women will be open to a lesbian partner.
And minsan, I mean, straight sila.
Yeah.
Minsan parehong straight na female to Pero gusto nila lang i-sex lang yung kasi they admire the female physique ba?
There is ano ba to?
Alam mo yun?
There is research on that.
'Di ba?
Yeah.
Hindi sila parang open sila makapag-relationship pero makikipag-sex pa rin sila sa male.
Yes.
But they just want to have sex with the female kasi mas okay yung katawan, mas mabango, mas softer.
Yeah.
Kasi ang lalaki talagang walang pakialam minsan.
Natin eh.
O saka hindi tayo masyadong hygienic kung minsan, 'di ba?
Compared to most women.
Naging milk bath pa nga yung mga ibang kababaihan, 'di ba?
Damn.
'Di ba? Saka ang bango-bango ng buhok, 'di ba? So parang may mga babaeng ganoon eh. 'Di ba pag may nakita kang group ng girls, parehas nang kino-compliment yung mga mga friends na parang, "Oy girl, you look sexy.
Yeah.
Ang ganda-ganda mo."
They're
parang
comfortable in it.
Kiss naman, no?
Uh-oh.
'Di ba? You don't see that with male or even yung mga gay friends ko na kilala. Hindi sila yung parang, "Oy, hoy." Walang naghahalikan ng lips to lips kagaya ng ginagawa ng mga ibang females.
Or if they do it, it's meant to be a joke. It's meant to be, to have a good laugh.
Yes.
Pero bang mo naman, pakis nga.
Oo. Hindi talaga yung parang handshake or parang endearment shit.
Yeah. And there are but I'm not sure if it's either a gender or sexuality, but yeah, I think there are sexualities where you can be attracted to men and women aesthetically, but you would prefer to have sex with only a man or only a woman. May mga taong ganon na they can be bisexual based off of aesthetic attraction. Like, I like men because of a specific form, shape, voice, attitude, and you like women because of a specific ganun din.
Like ako, Brad Pitt. Gusto ko si Brad Pitt. Eh.
Yeah.
I mean, not to have sex with Brad
But he's
Pitt.
aesthetically pleasing to a lot of guys.
And yung angas eh.
Yeah. And ngayon nga, di ba, the internet is like, they say that straight men are in love with Ryan Reynolds. Because he is what people would assume is the ideal man. Or siguro with Hugh Jackman. Like, they're okay with, like, I would go gay for Hugh Jackman, or I am attracted to you.
I would let him fuck me.
Ganun. It's a very aesthetic thing. Like, you find somebody that is incredibly masculine or exudes the energy that you want to be around you or you want to surround yourself with, but in reality, you would never approach them and say, "Hey, let's fuck."
Parang lang yan. Sinasabi mo lang yun.
Yeah, it's aesthetic attraction.
Yes.
So that's the thing that I learned recently. Now, you can be attracted because of specific physical, verbal, mga qualities ng tao. But after that, wala na.
Sa male to na species pero sa female na species, they would go as far as French kissing yung friend nilang babae.
Just because it feels good.
Oh, di ba?
May mga ganon.
Di ba? Parang nakikita ko yung pag, kiss ako, sexy niya na.
Yeah.
And they're really into it.
Yeah.
Hindi sila yung tipong parang half-hearted.
Yeah. Very, very passionate about it. And
Diba?
they're sober too.
Oo, di ba?
Yeah.
So kasi yun ang gusto ko sa female Parang very open sila sa into expressing themselves.
Yeah.
Themselves. Tayo parang parang ako personally parang takot ako sa feelings ko Ito lately nung nagpa-podcast ako, nagiging open ako. Pero before to, takot akong parang yung first time na nag-masturbate ako, parang nagkam ako parang ang weird ng feeling. Parang,
Feels dirty.
Oo.
Yeah. And I think men have to be given that level of care and kindness. Now, just because you're a man, just because you are expected to be a man, doesn't mean you have to be violent. Or just because you're a woman doesn't mean you have to be soft and gentle and pure.
Yung stereotype.
Yeah, yun nga yung problema natin sa gender, which is people keep saying that it is a construct. Gender is what people assume, or gender stereotypes are what people assume that you have to do because you are born a man or because you were born a woman.
Mm-mm.
For example, if you started wearing a skirt, obviously people would start thinking, why the fuck are you wearing a skirt? Why are you wearing women's clothes?
Mm.
Or if a woman starts powerlifting, si Heidi Lin nga, do you still remember that time when people were making fun of female powerlifters in the Philippines?
Na daw siya parang lesbo, ganyan.
Lesbian siya, but she's not.
Oh, she's engaged yata
Yeah.
to a man,
Congratulations, by the way. What is wrong with a woman being able to assert herself physically?
Oo.
That is not typically a woman's place.
Oo.
Diba? Or what is the problem with a man being open with his emotions and
Flamboyant.
being flamboyant? And who cares?
Oo.
Honestly, why do people care about what you do for yourself that makes you happy?
Like
You're not
ako,
hurting it.
meron ako mannerism, parang pag hawak ng baso, gumagayon ako. Parang sabihin ng mga friends ko, uy, bakla kasi nakaganyan, parang, comfortable ako
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
comfortable ako ganyan
Yeah.
Pero di ba parang naging issue yun before, parang, yung kamay may
coat pa,
pilantik.
may pilantik.
May pilantik yung kamay. Ay,
Damn.
bading siguro to.
Damn. Daliri na lang gagawan mo pa ng gender. Gagawan mo pa ng,
So before,
ng drama.
I used to be insecure with that. And dumating pa nga sa point na kinestyon ko pa yung sexuality ko. Parang,
Really?
siguro, bading talaga ako Pero, hindi naman ako na-attract sa lalaki. Pag nakita mo ng titi, parang wala lang naman.
Yes.
Pero, the way nila sabihin yun sa akin, parang, it made me think parang it made me second guess myself
Yeah.
Kasi nung time na bata ako so parang hindi ako masyadong confident or masyadong self-aware kung ano pa talaga yung gusto ko. So parang alam mo parang nangyayari sa bata yung peer pressure Pero ngayon at my age parang wala nang pakialam Minsan ang hirap mag-explain. Bahala kayo kung ano gusto yung tingin sa akin, di ba?
I'm gonna ask you something, and the disclaimer is there are follow-up questions and a conclusion.
Mm-mm.
Did you consider experimenting with men?
No.
No. So there was no attraction, there was no desire to experiment, and you eventually came to the conclusion that, you know what, I'm straight. I am attracted to women.
Mm-mm.
That's it. That's the thing din that I want to tell people. You don't have to experiment just to conclude what you are. You don't have to you don't have to constantly play with other people's feelings.
Although, may mga ibang tao na manipulative.
Yun lang.
Same way kung paano minamanipulate minamanipulate ng typical na guy yung female into having sex with him.
Yeah.
Like parang mahal kita,
Oh, shit.
subukan lang natin.
Yeah.
Diba?
Yeah.
Paano mo malalaman kung di natin susubukan?
The peer pressure
Diba? Ako,
putting out.
yung first threesome ko was because of peer pressure Nung
Really?
ahente ako ng gamot
Okay.
It was with a doctor. Siyempre, pag medrep, kliyente mo yung doktor.
Okay.
So yung doktor na yun, close kami. Guy to And that time, meron siyang girlfriend.
Okay.
And sabi niya, yung girlfriend ko, ang fetish niya, threesome.
Okay.
2 lalaki. So ikaw, pinagkakatiwalaan kita. Sex natin yung girlfriend ko. So at first, syempre di papayag. Parang skeptical ako. Parang talaga bang threesome with your girlfriend or threesome with you lang? Tas parang, alam mo yun?
Manonood lang si girl.
Oo, hindi mo alam eh. Ako,
Yeah.
bata pa ako, 22 eh.
Oh, it's very young
Oh,
for
pero
that kind of experience.
Pero sobrang libog ko kasi. And syempre, top doctor ko siya. So, syempre, parang na-curious na ako. Sige, let's see. Tapos nakita ko rin yung girlfriend niyang ganda eh.
So may incentive ka pang dagdag.
Oo, so parang kaya ko naman siguro hawiin yung kamay niya if ever maging siya, touchy sa akin.
Yeah.
So nangyari yun, yung threesome.
Okay.
Pero hindi ako nalibugan eh, kasi parang amoy laway yung babae, tas nakikita ko yung edits ni Doc nakalabas. So, nagayit pa nga sila sa akin eh, kasi parang, ano ba yan? Ba't,
Pumayag ka, bakit ganito? Bakit?
Oo, kasi I just wanted to experience yung yun eh.
Yeah. And that's the thing. We mentioned a while ago that just because somebody is attractive doesn't mean you will be sexually aroused by them.
Oo.
Sabi mo maganda yung babae, pero when you were in the moment, parang I'm not really into it. And it's not your fault. It was never your fault. You may have said yes because you were either convinced or coerced or you wanted to experiment, but if they were really respectful of you, they wouldn't have blamed you for saying no. If I were in that situation where, I invited somebody to be a part of a threesome.
And they were really, kumbaga, ahente na nga ako pa na ahente. They were really, alam yung mga ahente ang kukulit. Sir, buli na kayo. So parang ganun siya sa akin. Parang ilang taon din niya ako niligawan na ganun eh.
Took you years? It took him years to convince you?
Oo. Kasi parang, parang encounter sa mga conventions yun eh.
Oh, okay.
So parang at first ayoko, tapos parang sabi ko sige na nga. Parang walang pinagkaiba yun sa babae nililigawan mo ng matagal na like 3 years. Tapos biglang yung babae maisip niya, sige na nga, total mabait naman siya, lagi naman siya nandyan, maasahan. Sagutin ko na kaya siya. So ako yung naging parang babaeng, sige na nga, sagutin ko na kaya to.
Okay.
Pero hindi siya parang authentic na ako yung may kagusto. Na-influence ako eh.
Yeah. You were coerced into it.
Para ako na, ba yun, si Jeffrey Epstein ba yun? Parang ako yung isa sa mga babae doon sa Fuck Island na na-convince nung misis niya na sige na iha. 'Di ba? Kasi hindi mo kayang convincein yung babae pag lalaki ka lang eh. Kailangan teamwork kayo ng kapwa babae din eh.
Yeah.
Kaya ang dami niya na-convince na mga minors, 'di ba?
And that's a completely different story that I have no expertise on.
Nag-jump tayo doon. Pero feeling ko parang ganun eh. Kasi tag team sila nung girlfriend niya eh. And kay Doc, pwede ako mag-say no. Nung na-meet ko yung babae, wow, how can I say no to this? Ganda eh. Diba?
Yeah, okay. And since you were 22 at the time, learning to say no is a lot harder. Because it feels so good to say yes. It feels so good to be proposed by a beautiful woman. Or, to be proposed by a beautiful whoever. Ang hirap tumanggi. But eventually you'll learn na a pretty face has its limits. It's not going to give you all the pleasure you want. Mapapagod ka din dun sa maganda lang, papayag ka na. And
magisisi ka after.
Yeah. So what happened afterward? Were they still like a top client of yours or medyo nag-back off ka na sa...
Nalipat na kasi ako ng area eh. So, hindi na nila ako ma-reach nun.
Okay.
So, totally different doctors na yung nakocoveran ko, ganyan.
Okay. So, wala din hindi...
Totally wala ng contact.
Okay.
Pero parang hanggang ngayon naisip ko pa rin parang, shit, nagawa ko yun eh. Although nakapag-threesome na rin ako ng 2 babae.
Which is probably...
Na mahirap.
Paano naging mahirap? Why? Why is it more difficult?
Kasi, di ba, meron tayong stigma. I mean, sa amin mga straight, di ba, may stigma kami na parang, uy, threesome, 2 babae, sarap. Titigas ka agad titi ko. Hindi, kasi nangyari yung threesome na yon with kasi girlfriend ko at that time yung babae.
Okay.
And then siya, doon ko una nalaman na yung threesome, nagmamaterialize siya through a female. Not through a straight guy.
Yeah.
Unless kung DOM ka, babayaran mo yung dalawang babae, di ba? Pero yung walang pilitan na threesome, yung parang willing silang makipag-sex sa'yo, babae magkukonvince sa kabilang babae na, oy, threesome natin tong boyfriend ko.
Usually, yeah.
Ganon.
Yeah.
Free hindi yung parang minamanipulate.
Yeah.
Yung kung willing sila.
Yeah.
So, yun ang natutunan ko. And mahirap yun, natigasan for me kasi girlfriend ko yung kasama ko eh. Tapos may ibang babae. Tapos, di ba parang, oh, shit, paano to? Kasi parang, concern ka sa feelings nun eh.
Yeah.
Kahit sabihin niyang, bibigyan ka niya ng pass, parang, pwede bang doon ka muna sa kabilang kwarto? Parang gano'n.
Practice muna.
Oo.
Practice round muna.
So, it took me a while before maging comfortable sa ganong setup. Pero even nung naging comfortable ako, nung fina-fuck ko na yung isang babae, na parang na-itsipwera na yung si girlfriend eh. Na parang naging addiction na siya. Parang every time na parang, babe, sino ba yung next?
Oh.
Jeffrey Epstein shit.
Oh, man.
Parang gano'n na yung dating.
Okay.
So doon ko na-realize parang, oh, now I get it. Malaking bagay yung babae nung Jeffrey Epstein dun sa fuck kulto sex, kung ano man tawag dun.
Yeah. A lot of cults do that. I have dipped into researching yung deculting or yung taking people out of the cult mentality na they always bring a vulnerable parental figure to convince others to go into the cult or to whatever, to do something that's not comfortable for them, or they would use a very beautiful person to attract you to their cult or to their belief or religion or whatever.
Charles Manson ba to?
One of them. The Manson family, pati na yung, that's the biggest example.
Di ba may mga virgin, yung mga angels ba niya tawag yung virgins? Manson girls, ganun.
Yeah.
Di ba mga magaganda yun, di ba?
Very beautiful, very virile, very youthful looking ones.
Nag-offer sila ng orgies, di ba?
Orgies. And then when you're finally in, you realize, oh shit, this is not what I thought it was.
Yes.
It's something very sinister. And it all comes down to being aware of the red flags or of the danger signs of it. And when I started making darker, more more specific audio, like there are people who request mga being forced into it or rape play. It's a thing. It's an actual fetish that people, consenting adults, get into, and they have agreements about it and they feel safe because it's the right person doing it for them. And people have requested na, hey, can you make an audio where you're my boss and you force me into having sex with you?
Dude, may mga females may mga ganong fantasies eh.
Yes.
And I've been with some of those females.
Really?
Oo, na parang role play.
Yeah, role play.
Mas gusto nila sinasakal sila.
Yep.
Di ba? Parang BDSM type of shit.
Yeah.
Diba?
Impact play na medyo
parang
sinasampal.
hard fucking,
Yeah.
di ba?
Yeah.
Parang nirip mo pinsan yung damit.
Nila,
Oo.
Yeah.
Na parang yung mga iba, parang, oy, negative yung rape. Parang, well, you don't know what goes inside the bedroom.
Yeah. And as long as it's consenting, like all people involved are consenting, and you respect the limits and boundaries of a person, especially when it becomes too much for them, then it's okay.
Safe word.
The safe word. If people are curious about what the safe word is and they have a difficulty in trying to, think of one, I usually try to do the stoplight system. Green light if you're still okay with it and you want me to keep going, because I do meet up with people who pay me for sex. Hanggang ngayon, as I am, people like this guy. Yellow light is okay. Let's talk about it a little bit. Slow down. Go softer. shift yung energy natin into doing something else, but let's see where it goes. And then when you say red light, full stop. And as the person that they hired, or the person with more knowledge when it comes to sex, I also have to be aware. Okay, if you want me to stop, I'll stop. I'll get you something to drink. I'll let you breathe. And if you want to talk about it, we can talk. And that's the thing. Sex does not have to be scary. It doesn't have to be stupid. And it doesn't have to be violent. It has to be consensual.
Yung nga. And communication is the key.
Yep.
Minsan kasi, they just dive into it
Yeah.
without even considering the other person's feelings. Both to sa male and female.
Yeah.
Minsan walang gana yung isa.
Yeah.
Kasi di na pag-usapan.
Yeah.
Kasi nahihiya sila parang, okay, I just wanna dive into it kasi libog ako ngayon.
Parang, okay, fine. Nandito na tayo
Ay, pero may mga ganong girls yung ex ko nun,
Yeah.
Sabi niya, she was in situations wherein kaya siya nakipag-sex na lang para matapos na lang. Kasi either inuman, ano siya sa bahay nung guy, tas yung guy, makulit, ayaw tumigil, so para tumigil na, sige, ito na. Either blowjobin na lang kita, or jaculin kita, para mag-come ka na, tapos ka na.
Okay.
Ano yung ganun?
Yeah. And again, binigay mo na naman dun sa babae yung pressure into agreeing just because nandun . You know, I saw this on TikTok and I saw this on Twitter. Like there was a video, I just can't remember it. I may be misquoting, but the general idea is, have you ever noticed how society constantly punishes women for not dying? Pag hindi sila nanganak because they have difficulty giving birth, worthless silang babae because they can't bear children. Pag nagkaroon naman ng maraming anak, maluwag na. Pag matanda na, spinster. You know, you have so many ways to dehumanize a woman or to dehumanize people. Like kung ang lalaki wala pa ring anak by the time they're 35 or 40, baog ka ba? Ano bang, what's your problem? They don't even ask men, are you okay? And if the Philippines could just pay attention to men and women a little more, and to how both of them are very human, and they both deserve respect and time to heal from their traumas and from their pain, people will be a little happier. Like there are so many men straight men who come to me for advice. How can I please my woman? How can I please my partner? How can I please my wife, my girlfriend, whoever? Because they don't dare ask their partner for fear of being looked down upon.
Yes, and being judged by them. Ay, malibog ka pala, walang yaka.
Oh. They don't even, like, I want to eat, I want to know how to eat a woman out. I want to know how to find the clitoris. May magtatanong sa akin, Lex, how can I find the clitoris? First of all, I don't have one. I can't tell you where it is. I can show you diagrams. I can show you whatever. But why don't you ask your girlfriend? Baka kasi mawirduhan siya sa akin .
Ito pa yung pinag-usapan kasi namin ni Dr. Joseph Lee, shout out.
Yeah.
Kasi may mga ibang couples na meron silang disguise . When they first meet, meron silang parang best foot forward.
Yeah.
Tapos ngayon, meron silang character na binild para magustuhan siya ng specific partner na yon.
A persona.
Yeah. And then, kinasal na sila, na parang ito na yung persona that has been built, and then unti-unting nawawala yung persona, tapos nagugulat sila, parang ganyan ka pala, hindi ko alam. Kasi hindi sila naging open at first, na ito talaga ako.
Yeah. It comes with, again, the assumptions of gender and the assumptions of what a man should be or what a woman should be or what a gay man is. Now, I still have some people, and I had some former friends who assume that just because I'm gay, they say I'm a woman trapped in a man's body. I'm not. I am a man who is attracted to other men. Lalaki ako na na may homosexual urges. Or like I'm a homosexual.
Mm-mm.
Or pansexual mostly. And hanggang ngayon ginagawa pa ring biro yung yung pagkalalaki,
Mm-mm.
pagkababae. Kalalaki mong tao, bakit ka umiiyak?
Oo.
Kalalaki mong tao, bakit ang bagal mong tigasan? Like, the body is weird. Eh, what if wala talagang mood yung katawan mo? What if you're tired? What if you feel unsafe? What if you're awkward in the situation?
Baka kulang sa stimulation, tapos ikaw yung hindi mo kaya ibigay yung stimulation na yun.
Yeah.
So, sisihin mo yung partner mo.
Yeah, it happens. Sometimes, the body just doesn't want to work.
Dude, meron akong kilala, may asawa siya, ayaw siyang i-blowjob.
Talagang ayaw niya ng oral sex. Bakit?
Ayaw niya. And sabi ko nga, hindi ka ba nagsabi na baka may pwede ka bang ibang gawin para masatisfy ka? Kasi siya parang nalulungkot siya at hindi siya napapagbigyan doon.
Yeah.
And sabi ko, i-voice out mo yan sa kanya.
Yeah.
Para mag-adjust kayo kung ano yung pwedeng gawin na kaya niya.
Yeah.
Kasi yung habang buhay mo, yan, tapos maghahanap ka ng ibang babae.
That's it.
Diba?
Exactly. It is better to confront somebody with the ugly truth than to constantly live with something that's eating you up inside.
Yeah.
Kawawa naman kasi whether regardless of your of your role in the bedroom or in marriage or in a partnership, if you're uncomfortable with somebody doing something or not doing something, sabihin mo na.
Sabihin mo na.
Just say it. If your partner really does love you and respect you, they will listen and they will discuss it with you. And if you cannot come to a conclusion, then you know what to do next. Counseling matters. Therapy matters. Time away from each other, time together, whatever you need to do, as long as you take the next step to do it. Kasi there are people who there are people who look for sexual satisfaction outside of a monogamous relationship or a closed relationship because their partner refuses to give them that satisfaction, and their excuse is ganito ako eh.
Yeah.
This is what I want to do. This is what I do not want to do. I am not going to put myself out there for you. I'm not going to make the extra effort. But I also don't want you finding other people.
Yan.
So you might as well talk to the person. I'm not happy with not being sexually satisfied, but I love you enough to tell you that this is a problem for me. And if they really care about you, and again, this is a very personal experience and personal opinion. There may be other there may be other discussions out there. Kung talagang mahal ninyo ang isa't isa, gagawa kayo ng paraan na pag-usapan, at least pag-usapan ninyo. And that's why I make sexy audio, because I create the ideal partner for them. I've earned a good amount of money because people want customized audio na ganon. I want you to treat me like this. I want to have a romantic experience like this. Gusto ko ng partner na soft pero dominant siya, constantly checks on me, treats me like I'm the king of the world, or I'm the most beautiful,
or like trash.
Diba? Yung may degradation kink.
Oh.
Those people pay a lot of money for that. Damn. And it's a little sad that we still do not reward honesty in society. Like, we prefer people to keep things a secret. We prefer people to hide their pain. Now, when a man is hurt, when a man is brokenhearted, or when a man is sexually assaulted, which happens, when a man is assaulted, iisipin nila na, maganda naman yung gumalaw sa'yo eh. Maganda naman yung nag-rape sa'yo eh. Bakit ka pa magrereklamo?
Oo. Yung ngayong isa sa mga topic ni Joe Rogan sa isang podcast niya, bakit pag yung underage male, yung naka-encounter ng matured na female,
like a teacher,
or like a teacher,
or a babysitter,
tas nagreklamo siyang na-abuse siya ng teacher na babae, buti nga nakipag-sex sa'yo, hot kaya ni ma'am.
Oo, magiging ganun palagi yung response, like they don't even they don't even think twice about it.
Oo.
Parang, pasalamat ka nga, ikaw pinili ni ma'am.
Oo.
Parang, but when it's a young woman or a young girl, and then it's an adult male, instantly,
Oo.
perversion agad, krimen agad. It should be the same. Rape is rape. Sexual assault is sexual assault. Young girls get assaulted, young boys get assaulted, adults get assaulted. And people have to understand that it's not simply about what a person is wearing. It isn't about that. Because a rapist will rape. Doesn't matter. They will find a way to justify why they did it.
Mm-mm.
They will find a way to excuse themselves. Masama lang yung ihip ng hangin. They will find a victim.
Mm-mm.
And it doesn't matter what you are and who you are. And this is why you have to teach people, regardless of with an understanding of yung language na learning nila, like you don't immediately terrify children with rape or whatever.
Oo.
But you have to teach people to know, and to accept that sex should not be scary. Sex should be safe. It should be simple. It doesn't have to hurt.
And it should be a choice.
It should be a choice.
Diba?
It should be
Hindi
a choice.
siya dahil pinilit sa'yo.
Between those who are consenting.
Oo.
Kaya nga galit na galit ako dun sa mga nagsasabi na, if we let gay men, if we let the LGBTQ community marry each other, paano na yan? Baka yung mga pedophiles sila na yung susunod. Pedophilia is not a gender, or pedophilia is not a sex.
It's a disorder.
It's a crime. I don't want to say it's a disorder because they can excuse themselves that I was crazy. I want people to understand that pedophiles are sane people who are doing very evil things. Malaki ang galit ko sa mga ganyan. Because I have friends and I have listeners who come up to me and say, "Hey Lex, listening to your audio helped me get over or helped me deal with my experiences as a kid who was sexually assaulted." Parang fuck. Paano, like, did I trigger you? It's like, no. I was able to confront myself nga eh. I was finally able to report my uncle or my teacher or my just an older neighbor.
Yun yung nagagawa ng power, no?
Yeah.
Like ako, sa Malabon, marami ako mga friends dito, kababata ako, na uso kasi dito sa ghetto yung may bakla ka.
Yeah.
Yung sponsor.
Yeah.
So,
it's very common.
hindi sila typically gay, pero dahil financially sila incapable before, nagre-resort sila pumatol
sa bading. Okay
kasi,
naman yung bading kasi gwapo naman yung kasama nila.
Bibigyan nila ng ng pera. Pero eventually syempre hindi naman panghabang buhay yun kasi may kailangan lang sila sa doon sa bading di ba?
Yeah.
Pero at an early age, hindi mo alam kung sino ba yung doon yung at fault yung batang nangangailangan ng pera o yung bading na nagbibigay ng pera. Di ba?
Sometimes it's yun yung tinatawag nila na, or people will call it a victimless crime. Like, something wrong is happening here, but both of you are complicit in it anyway. Na pumayag ka na perahan ka ng lalaki, pumayag ka na makirelasyon ka sa bading kasi kailangan mo ng pera. And again, if you're comfortable with it, I can't stop you from doing that. But eventually, it will come down to how much are you willing to sacrifice? How much are you willing to let go of? How much are you willing to experience or to do outside of your comfort zone? Kasi pag yung bading umasa na baka mahalin din siya, or kapag yung lalaki nagkaroon na ng attraction sa ibang babae, or nakahanap ng bading na mas may pera, then it becomes a transactional relationship.
Saka parang may trauma in both sides.
Yeah.
Like sa guy, if ever magkaroon siya ng karelasyon na babae, tas nalaman ng partner na babae niya yun, parang ano yung sasabihin, di ba? Lalo na pag di siya naging open.
Yep.
Kasi eventually sa relationship, parang, oy, siya nga pala babe, before, mamakla ako eh.
Maraming ganyan.
So parang ngayon yung babae, parang, what? Di mo sinabi sa akin? all these years.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a very difficult thing to navigate kasi nga locally ganun ang economics natin eh. People are driven to desperation, so they will find ways to earn money by manipulating other people.
Survival ba ang tawag dyan?
Possibly, yeah, survival. It's their coping mechanism.
Kaya yung mga ibang foreigners na nandito, di ba, ang dami nilang kinukuha mga underage girls na dahil gusto nilang, alam mo yun, bubuhayin kita eh.
Yeah.
And yung,
It's a sponsor nila.
and sa mga squatters area pa minsan or sa Angeles, Pampanga, di ba?
Yeah.
Marami niyan eh. Pero kasi, same din sa lalaking, may gay sponsor.
Yeah.
Ginusto rin din nila yun eh.
To some degree. Yeah.
Although, maraming nai-influence dahil meron silang peers na, uy, gawin natin to kasi magkakapera ka dito.
Yeah.
Pero may mga iba din doon na willing sila eh.
Yeah.
Alam nila yung consequences eh.
And they're okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, if you're okay with it, fine. Ganun talaga yung gusto mong mangyari. Edi,
Pero dun sa nag-accept nun, suffer the consequences if mahuli ka. Kasi underage yan eh, na individual.
yeah. Or just don't. Just fucking don't.
Oo, just be safe.
Be safe. Be smart.
Mm-mm.
Don't be a criminal.
Kaso nga, ang daming taong yung risk taker eh. 'Di ba?
Yeah.
Parang masarap kasi bawal eh. Masarap
Oo.
ang bawal.
Oo. And that's the thing that people still have to learn. Na just because it's very tempting, just because it's good or it feels good doesn't mean you have to keep doing it. There's therapy for that.
Mm-mm. Oh, hindi sila aware na parang you can be an addict sa sex. Akala nila parang addict ka lang sa drugs eh.
Sex is addicting.
'Di ba?
It's very addicting.
Nag-ano yan nag-i-stimulate yan ng ano bang hormone to? Parang endorphins ba? Something,
I
ganyan.
think it's endorphins, yeah. Not like I can't remember the exact thing, but sex can be very addicting, and I know of people who have approached me. For them, they're going into therapy, but they allow themselves to listen to my audio because it's safe space for them.
Mm-mm.
And they talk to their therapists about me. So parang hindi nakikinig yung therapist ko or yung therapist nila sa vexinglex erotic audio, but they know I exist.
Oh.
And parang may free pass sila na, okay, if this person makes you feel safe, if their audio makes you feel healthy and makes you feel, in control, okay.
Then go.
Go.
Saka,
Because they can stop.
oo.
Yun eh. And when you can stop, you're slowly weaning yourself from the addiction.
You can always press the stop button
Yep.
if you
You
don't.
can always close the tab.
Oo. Ang hirap, no? Parang in society, very fucked up eh, no?
Yep.
Eh, minsan parang kung isipin mo lahat, it revolves around sex eh.
Yeah. Sex is so prevalent in everything.
Mm-mm.
Ito na yung pinagtatawanan ko palagi eh. Anong kinalaman ng babaeng nakasakay sa puting kabayo para sa White Castle whiskey? Sex sells.
Marketing 101.
Marketing 101. And I am aware, I readied myself for it. If there are people who will watch this podcast and will see that this is the guy that does the sexy audio, isipin nila, I'm ready for people to comment na that guy has 3,000 followers, that guy's earning money from that, and he looks like this. Handa ako sa ganun because I know that not everybody will find me attractive.
Mm-mm.
Not everybody will find my voice attractive or my personality attractive. That's the thing about having a safe community. You should be able to express your opinions without being trashy about it, and you should be ready to receive harsh criticism for the things that you do. Like, I'm sure may mga tao na critical sa'yo for like either who you guessed or who you listen to or who you admire.
Mm-mm.
Ganon din naman sa iba nating mga podcaster friends like si Gerald. He's a huge fan of Joe Rogan.
Mm-mm.
And there are a lot of people who are very angry with Gerald just because he likes Joe Rogan. And there should be discussion about it. People should be able to talk about it without insulting the other person.
Oo. Yun ang nangyayari ngayon, especially sa politics, diba?
Yep.
Nauuna kagad yung retort before mo pakinggan yung other side. Eh.
Yeah. The thing about politics is which I'm trying to understand din naman is sometimes there is enough evidence online and in real life to know if the politician you are supporting or if you're considering supporting is worthy of that support or not. I'm obviously not going to name anybody, but if you're sure, if you've seen enough evidence or proof that this person is a douchebag or has not done anything for the community that they've been promising to help, why would you vote for them?
But then again, meron din isang aspeto eh.
Ano to?
I mean, bukod dun sa idealistic approach na yan,
Yeah.
pag ito nanalo, makikinabang ako. Negosyo ko, yung
Yeah.
pamilya ko, buhay ako.
Yes. And there's proof na meron naman talaga na if you vote for a specific politician, either in your local government or in yung mga higher government, nagbe-benefit nga naman.
Oo.
Or at the very least, walang problema dun sa pamamalakad mo ng negosyo mo.
Oo.
You just have to pay, like liquidation fees.
And sa atin, maraming ganyang yung sistema. Even sa kukuha ka ng passport or kung ano man. Parang hindi mo na kailangan pumila kasi ikaw yung supporter ni ganyan. O may kilala ka.
Yeah. And unfortunately, because of that, ang hirap maging just. It's very difficult to be just and fair in a political setting, lalo na locally. Kasi nga, if I benefit from it, why should I change it? Why should I change the rules if I gain so much from it? And, malapit na pala ang election, no?
Oo.
Fuck.
Kaya nga dun sa mga taong nagsasabi na parang good or bad, is it really good or bad? Or will you benefit from him or her if she or him is in office?
Yeah. And unfortunately, that's what's happening to a lot of, countries. It's not good or bad. It's beneficial or detrimental.
Yeah.
What do I seek to gain from voting for this person?
Oo.
If they become elected into office, how much will I suffer?
Oo. Kasi at the end of the day, itong mga politicians na to are still fucking politicians.
Yeah.
'Di ba? Walang kasiguraduhan na hindi sila magiging corrupt.
Yep.
Kasi marami yung mga advisors or iba pang mga sumuport sila na magbabayad utang din sila.
Yeah.
So magiging corrupt din sila eventually.
Yep. And that's very obvious dito sa Pilipinas. As soon as you find out, this politician's ad was sponsored by.
Yes.
Parang, okay. So napipilitan sila na to make decisions based off of the priorities nung nag-sponsor sa kanila. Kasi nga, if they didn't get the money from them, they won't win.
Dude, walang pinagkaiban sa corporate setting eh. Kasi nung ako ay bagong ahente, parang very idealistic ako sa approach sa work ko.
Yeah.
Pero nung naging naging ahente na ako, nagkaroon ako ng boss na madiskarte, tinuruan niya ako na parang, pag naging idealistic ka, hindi ka magiging regular.
Yeah.
Kailangan gawin mo tong work na pinapagawa ko sa'yo kahit bawal sa office kasi dito tayo kokota.
You have to get dirty.
Yes, and kahit labag kasi turo sa training, dapat ganito, nasa handbook, ganyan.
Yeah.
Pero ba't mo ginagawa to? And it took me some time before mag-adjust na parang, kasi wala eh. Lahat sila ganun eh. They're doing the same thing. And ako, kung maging idealistic ako, edi, goodbye. Goodbye, corporate world.
You would lose your job immediately. Or mababurnout ka agad.
Yes. Kasi gagawa siya ng paraan para ma-stress ka at ikaw mismo mag-resign.
Yeah. Teka lang, I have to check my time. Oh my God.
Sige.
Oh no, it looks like I have to go in a few minutes.
Sige.
I'm so sorry. I am so sorry.
We can have a part 2 next time.
Yeah.
Oo.
Siguro mas maaga, maybe.
And with Gerald para mas intense.
Yeah.
Pero
game.
Feeling ko dito, Lex, marami na tayo na incorporate sa mga listeners natin.
And I encourage you guys, the listeners, to support both our online careers. And ask questions.
Exactly.
Feel free to ask questions. Just please don't be an asshole. Please. this is the internet. He can smell bullshit. I can smell bullshit. Okay? Well, hindi kami hindi kami ranchero pero alam namin na amoy ng tae.
Yeah. So comment below para
Comment
alam
below,
namin.
Like, subscribe, and pwede ba ako mag-plug?
Sure,
Okay
sure.
lang? If you guys wanna listen to my sexy audio, you can find me on Reddit as vexinglex. VEXINGLEX. No space. And if you want to listen to my podcast, which has mostly safer work audio, you can find me on Spotify and Anchor as The Lex Files. Feel free to message me, ask me questions, and kung gusto nyo mag-commission or mag-sponsor ng membership, if you want to be a member for additional benefits, I have a Ko-fi. You can also find me on Ko-fi as vexinglex.
Coffee.
K-O-F-I. Yeah. May ang dami palang willing na mag membership. Yeah, monthly membership.
That's good.
Yeah. Hopefully, that's the secondary goal. My primary goal is to make sex safe, simple, and sexy. My secondary goal is to make this my primary source of income. I mean, if people are willing to pay for this, sure. I'm game ako dun.
Mga ka-kulto, support Lex. Lahat ng link mo ilalagay ko sa description.
Yes.
Para click lang sila.
Maraming salamat.
Lex, it was good talking to you.
It was a pleasure talking to you. And we weren't naked.
Oo
Isipin
nga,
mo
diba?
yun? Tingnan mo yun? I can't have fun with my clothes on.
Diba? So, next time again?
Yes.
Okay. And with that, we are